Today, I'd like to take a few moments to review our Learning Coach resources for your K through 5 students. You'll notice here if you visit learningcoach.accelerate.education, you'll be taken to a multitude of resources that can support your student and your learning coach at home. You'll notice if you go into the Getting Started, there's best practices and tips and tricks for you to be working with your student at home. Today, I'd like to focus on the Elementary Learning Coach resources for grades K through 5. Upon entering the Learning Coach resource arena, you'll notice that there's a space called How-To Guides and Videos. These how-to guides and videos are embedded in the courses as well, but we've made a one-stop shop to help you through the courses during your day. The next thing I'd like to focus on is the kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade Learning Coach curriculum guides. This will take you to a ready-made list of materials that you'll need throughout the course with your student at home. And then more importantly, they'll take you through the core courses of language arts, math, science, and social studies to give you the background knowledge to support your learner at home. You can think of this kind of like a teacher's guide. When you dig in specifically to modules, you'll be able to see what background do you need as a learning coach? What materials will you need to prep for that day or that module for the week? You'll be able to look at your learning coach notes to tell you what to do or how to support your learner. Again, just to give you some background knowledge for what your student may be doing that week. And then you'll be given guiding questions. If you're accessing these curriculum guides in the Learning Coach site, these guiding questions can help you prep your student and review with your student content areas that they should have mastered. You'll notice in 2.1 Space Adventures, your student would have been working on the CVC-E pattern. You can ask details, main idea. You can dig into the summaries they should have known from their reading stories that week. Again, review and repetition throughout the week as you build toward the end of this module with your students. There are some suggested outings, which we know at this time are hard to do with COVID, but some of these things you can do virtually as well. Visit a planetarium and view one of the shows on space. You could go into a link or you could do some research on the web and visit a planetarium virtually. Another piece of the Learning Coach site is going to be video questions. If you're not sitting with your student throughout the day, that's okay. You can still check in on videos that happened in their language arts course and ask them the questions of things they should have learned in the videos they watched. And then taking it one step further to expand literary options, you can find suggested books. You can access these online, grab them from a library, but these will allow your students to extend their learning a little deeper into what the content was based on for the module. Going back to the top, as a learning coach, you'll be able to see the objectives the students should be mastering in the content. You'll be able to find the key words, sight words, spelling words, vocabulary words. In the other core content areas, you would find vocabulary words and things like that. And lastly, you'll be able to see the assignments that they'll be completing within a module. Again, your learning coach notes are here for you to be able to work with your student. Suggested read aloud books. And then again, the outing. To go back into the Learning Coach support site here, I'm going to take you back just to show you one more view. If you were working in a science course, for example, you would see the same types of activities in kindergarten. The materials list, hopping into science, you would be able to work with your student in their modules to find out what you can do to support them as a learning coach. You've got your notes. You've got your guiding questions to help to see if they're mastering what they're doing or help them review. You've got your objectives, your vocabulary keywords, and again, the assignments listed your students will be working on. If you're not sitting with your student, they will see videos embedded in the content. Feel free to ask them these questions to make sure that they're working through the content with fidelity. And again, literary extensions for some possible books that would extend their learning and accelerate their learning should you have the opportunity to do that with your students at home. So don't forget to check out our Learning Coach resource site as you're working at home with your students. This will help guide you and your families to success. One other thing I'd like to focus on today is your student login page and a couple of the things you can do within the course. This is your student dashboard. I'm in here as a student. I'd like to show you entering a language arts course, one of the ways you can help your student review. When you're logging in as a student, students will have access to their gradebook. If a student has completed a quiz or assessment, they will be able to scroll to the quiz, click on the graded component, and find out how they did. They'll find their grade. They can look through questions specifically to find out what they got right and wrong, and use this for feedback as they study to prepare for a final assessment or a module piece or a benchmark assessment with their teacher. One view that I'd like to show you in this English language arts course is the Fluency reads. Sometimes as students are working through content, they will have activities that they don't have to necessarily submit for a grade. This is just like they may have in their brick and mortar. One of these is the Fluency reads. Students are working through here and they're learning what is fluency. You want to read 2 to 3 words per second. You want to practice this. This is an opportunity for students to practice their fluency, to hear it read aloud to them, to have repetition, to record themselves, and to hear if they sound the way it should for fluent reading. They can practice and just continue to work on getting better. So while fluency activities are embedded into the content, it's not something that they necessarily have to submit. It's really just for practice and repetition at home, ensuring that they're being modeled what they should or would have seen in a brick and mortar with that direct instruction or alongside with a teacher. So I was in here as a student and I just wanted you to see those 2 pieces, but learning coaches and observers, I also want you to see when you're in here as an observer and you want to check on your student, or you would like to see how they're performing on their assessments, you can do the same thing. Notice I'm in here as an observer and learning coach. I can click on this course and I can find the same pieces of information. I can go to my navigation menu here. I can look at the grades for my student, and I can come into any of their graded assignments and especially quizzes and assessments to find out how they're doing and to review what they got right or wrong to help your students study. So again, as an observer, you do have access to those pieces of what your student is doing in the course. Just remember as an observer that you can check in on their scores and you have access to all of their courses. I hope this video helped. I'll leave it here with the learningcoach.accelerate.education support site. I hope you find this helpful and that you guys are digging in with learning with your students. Bye, everybody.